It's easy to hear your favorite artist on WFPK from wherever you are. Listen on your smart speaker, live stream from our website at WFPK.org from Louisville Public Media.
Consequence Podcast Network.
Hey, welcome to another edition of Kyle Meredith with, the interview series presented by WFPK at WFPK.org, Consequence of Sound, and the Consequence Podcast Network. I want to thank you for checking out this interview and this interview series, hopefully. In fact, if you're not a subscriber, hey, do that before we get into this. Just go ahead and take care of that. Hit that subscribe button wherever you like to get podcasts from. We're on all the major hotspots, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. 3 brand new interviews delivered straight to you every single week on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so it's a perfect way to keep up with your favorite artists, discover some new ones, and know what's happening in the music world. I'm Kyle Meredith, and especially when we're talking about discovering some new ones, JXDN, that's spelled JXDN. Now, if you're on TikTok, there's a good chance you know who I'm talking about, but as far as the music world goes, he's a new name. His first single, just released earlier this year, has already received millions upon millions of streams across all the platforms. So I want to talk to JXDN about musically, more or less, being an overnight success. He's going to tell us about how Juice WRLD really inspired him to get into the music game, and how Travis Barker, yes, the drummer of Blink-182, chose him earlier this year to be his first signee to his new record label. Of course, we'll also be talking about JXDN's fandom of Blink-182, where that came from in his life. And then the music. He likes to write in real time. He's not the type of artist who sits down and writes a song and kind of studies it out. He's the type that jumps right in front of the microphone. So what you're hearing in these songs is basically a very real-time representation of who he is in that very moment. We'll hear about his new singles, So What? One of his first singles, Angels and Demons, and especially with a title like that, I've got to ask, so both of his parents have been pastors in their past. Is there a connection there, and what does it mean? In fact, a lot of that traces back to his Southern upbringing. He says he spent a lot of time pushing against the judgmental system in the Southern environment. He's also already showing some versatility with acoustic versions of his track. It's all that and more. Let's jump into this. Kyle Meredith with JXDN.
Yo, what's up, Kyle? How's it going, man?
It's been exciting to watch what's going on here with you. And you know, I was thinking most of the time when you use the word overnight success, you know, the artist will tell you, it's like, well, I've been working at it for, you know, a good 10 years. And this is when people first started seeing me. But I don't know if that's actually the case with you. You know, your first single isn't very old. You know, it's less than a year old. And we're looking at 27 million, you know, just Spotify alone spends. It's not even counting YouTube. Has it felt like overnight in this instance for your musical part of your career?
You know, that's actually a really good question. I don't think anyone's asked me that yet. But, you know, out here in this kind of society, this world, especially in the music industry, along with social media, you know, a year in LA feels like 10 years to me, man. I feel like I've gone through 10 years of my own life, you know, through different types of pain, different types of success. But, you know, looking at my music, it feels like it just happened yesterday. So I would feel like it's been overnight, you know, and it's been a hard overnight, like definitely impactful overnight with a lot of stuff that we've done. But definitely when I look back at it, you know, it's within a blink of an eye. You know, I bet that happens for a lot of people. But for me specifically, I definitely resonate with that for sure.
And going from, you know, what you were doing prior, especially on TikTok, online and everything, when did it become clear that you wanted to make your own art in this way?
So it was after I just went on this social media tour, you know, MagCon-esque of July of last year in 2019. That we were in Dallas, and I'm a big Juice WRLD fan. I was prior to this, and I just noticed that he had a concert that night in Dallas, and so I told all my boys, I was like, guys, we got to go. So we bought tickets online a couple hours before the show, showed up, and we were moshing inside the, like, you know, the little VIP area or whatever, and to Juice WRLD's song Empty, and the line that was saying, I'm empty, I feel so goddamn empty. And for some reason, a big reason, but whatever it was, I'm so grateful for, I just had like the biggest revelation and epiphany I've ever had in my life. I really didn't know what I wanted to do with myself. I'd been lost personally, with my purpose and with kind of my self-acclamations prior to this moment. And everything just came together in that moment. I saw thousands of kids, not just singing this line, but really feeling it. You know what I mean? They were crying out, just as the same as Juice WRLD was when he wrote the song. And so I was like, I've been there too, and Juice has been there, and thousands of these kids have been there, and that's something that brings us all together. It doesn't matter who you are, what you are, where you come from. This one line in a song brought thousands of different people of different races, different beliefs, different sexualities, all together in one moment. And that was so beautiful to me, because division was just like a big part of how I grew up. No one ever worked together. Everyone just seemed to hate each other. And I felt like I was a part of that for a long time. So at this moment, I felt like, wow, dude, like I really found out my destiny, because this is what's going to bring the world together. You know what I mean? This is how powerful music can be. And that's kind of like a long explanation. But right after that happened, I went back to LA and I started talking to as many people as I could to try to get me in the studio. Just to try. I told myself, I don't know if it's going to work for me, but I at least have to try, because it was so beautiful in that moment to see how powerful his music was to everyone, and especially myself.
That's really interesting. And again, for a lot of artists, they get anonymity for a much longer time before we get to hear like their first bits of music. I mean, what has that been like for you? I mean, how long were you actually spending learning how to write a song, or did that come really natural?
To be quite honest with you, I try to learn every time I go in the studio. I try to learn every time I get an opportunity to, but it really has just come pretty naturally for me. And I think that's why I'm so adamant, or was so adamant about this sort of career, is because I never want to put myself anywhere that I don't really fit, or don't think it's going to, work out naturally. So I put all my efforts into music, because I noticed that everything just started falling into place, kind of like a puzzle. And when I first wrote Comatose, it was my first rock song I ever wrote. And it took like 6 months to release, because we had some issues with law contracts and things like that with producers, but everything settled out. And then after we released that, I knew if I could just release one song, like that was like my big thing. Like if I could just release one song, then after that, I feel like everything will fall into place. Either it'll work or it won't, and I'll realize that. So we released it, and the day after we released it, Travis Barker calls up my team, and that kind of like started everything, meeting with labels and meeting with everyone in New York and California. And then I finally met with him in person, and I realized, okay, this is a guy I definitely need to be with. And so it just started like this snowball effect of, honestly, success. And I owe it to everyone around me. I owe it to my team, and especially Travis, for having faith and seeing what was in the future, not just was like what was right in front of us. So, and
you're Travis's first signee on this label too, right? Like you're product number one.
Yeah, dude, isn't that crazy? Like, imagine how I feel, honestly, having like this legend that it took me underneath his wing, essentially, and he works with so many amazing people already. Like, he had such an opportunity to sign and work with so many others, and he didn't, and he decided to pick me as his first signing. Like that, just I think about it every day, dude, and I'm like, like what? Like, how is this possible? You know what I mean?
Now the obvious question that I'm sure you have been asked: were you a Blink fan prior to this?
Dude, that's such a funny question. So I grew up like listening to like classic rock type of stuff with my dad. But I grew up in the South, and everyone out there, once you get to middle school and high school, is like, listen to trap music. That's it. And so I didn't really get to branch off into that. But as soon as I moved out to LA, I started talking to this girl named Mads Lewis, who we started dating a while back. And she's a huge Blink fan. So, yeah, it's really funny. The timing of everything just like fit in perfectly. And I became like a huge Blink fan. Also like Green Day, Five Finger Death Punch. And we always talked about Travis Barker because her and her dad just like loved him. And so the fact that, I ended up working with him is crazy. And actually on Comatose, before I even like met Travis, before any of that happened, me and my producers used Travis's drum kit on Splice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so we didn't even, obviously I had no idea any of this was going to happen. And then Travis didn't even know that it was his own drum kit, whenever he listened to the song. And we were like, yo, this is you. He was like, what? That's crazy. Yeah, so everything honestly just fit together, dude. It was like the perfect story. It was crazy.
Kismet, definitely. Yeah, and here he is playing. I mean, now not not only do you have his drum set, you've actually got him on the drums on some of these songs. And, I've just heard the new single with So What? And it's not saying that it had to sound anything like that, but I feel like I can hear some of that influence of that era and that genre on this track more than, the other couple songs so far. With it being the new single, what's the story with this one?
So, with So What, it's kind of funny because, when you hear So What, people usually put a question mark at the end of it, like, so what? But this is more like, so what, with an exclamation point. And this has really just been my attitude because, there's a lot of trials and tribulations, quote unquote, that come in people's lives, especially mine. Things come daily. But I obviously this is more kind of like a love song, we're meeting that aspect, but it applies to everything. And everything that I write, dude, is really like a moment in time of my life. I don't sit down and write songs. Like, I go into the studio, I hear a track, and then I freestyle for like a certain amount of time, and then we cut it up and see what we like best. And I do that with the purpose, one, with Juice Inspirations, because he's literally like my idol. And then two, because I just love being real. Like, I really try to harp and focus on being an authentic version of myself, an authentic representation of who I want to be. And I feel like that's the best way to get it out of me. In a melodic flow. And so with So What, we were just in the studio, me, Fim, John Feldy, and Travis, and he turned on like this guitar riff, and I just started like singing in that like punk rock hit, and like that punk rock vibe just like hit me. And so I just started freestyling, talking about like, so what, I'm broken. Like, and my heart's frozen, like all these things that are supposed to be bad that would prevent me from doing, what I want to do. I'm saying like, so what? Like, I'm going to do it anyway. You know what I mean? I'm going to get over my fears, get over my pains, and go and rock out. And in the music video, the storyline tells exactly that. Mooch did a fantastic job directing. Me and him, he's my bro, like, he's my homie. It's literally been, this has probably been my favorite project so far. I mean, I bet artists say that all the time for each new song, but genuinely, this has been my favorite project.
Freestyling as stream of consciousness style right there, too, it really does put each song in the most present version of the moment. And I mean, compared to like, if a lot of bands would write an album and then it would take, 6 months to a year to put out. And so what you're hearing is, a version of themselves from a year ago. But like yeah. Angels and Demons, I would have to wonder in that respect, was that sort of a reaction to your fame that you had gotten to that point?
Yeah. Okay. So Angels and Demons is probably the most song I have, really. Comatose is about my first girlfriend. So What is about kind of a relationship I had in the past couple months, but also with the view of just life in general. But Angels and Demons is genuinely about the battle between my mind. A lot of people hear "fuck me like a rock star" and they think it's about sex. Like, I'm not talking about sex. Like, that's not who I am. I don't write music about money or cars or anything like that. That's just not it. I'm talking about, the highest point in my life, which I see myself as dancing on a cop car. Like, I'm on top of the world. Like, everyone's looking up at me like, oh, it's so amazing. Like, fuck me like a rock star. Like, that's the type of the reaction. And then the lowest point of my life, which is in the same chorus, which is fucked up like a rock star, like riding in a cop car, and no one can help me out. And so it's just this battle that I've had for a long time in my mind of who I am and who I want to be, and the actions I was making and the actions I wanted to make. And it kind of took me back to really like high school, right after high school, when I was in a really deep depression. And I was just doing a lot of stupid shit for no reason, which ended up hurting myself more. And then where I wanted to be, which ultimately is kind of where I'm at right now, where I get to make music, take care of the people I love and myself, and also tell everyone who hears that music, who sees me on my platform, that they're loved and they're cared for, and that although they may not see the end of the rainbow right now, it's still definitely there, and it's not going away. As long as you'll keep after it and understand where you come from, you'll always get to that point. You know what I mean? And that's why I was really grateful that I got to have the Genius interview as well for Angels and Demons, because it kind of really explained that in depth. And, not everyone watches every interview, but that was really important to me, because I don't want anyone to think that I'm out here for, like, money or fame. Like, I'm not at all. Like, the sole reason I'm in music is because of that Juice WRLD concert, and I saw the impact that music has on people. And I saw the impact that the music had on me. And I wanted to do that for one person or millions of people. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter the number. I just wanted to do it. because I just care about people so much. Like, I really do.
I'll kind of trivially ask about, with a title like Angels and Demons, did I read that like your parents or one of your parents was a pastor?
Yes, my both my parents were pastors growing up in my childhood, and now my dad raises money for different nonprofit organizations. My mom does a lot of different things in that manner. It's been really crazy because growing up in the South, everyone's pretty judgmental with that aspect. It's either you believe this or you get casted out. You're an outcast. And I was not that I ever I still believe. I'll tell you that openly. Like I do. I love what I believe, but it's not in the judgmental sense at all. Like I think everyone is entitled to their own beliefs. When I grew up, I didn't think that, and now I believe that love is what leads people to change, not judgment. Like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Like, for anyone to cast anyone out for any sort of reason is absolutely stupid and absolutely the opposite of what I believe. And so it's been really fun and kind of beautiful because my parents were the most supportive people in my life. Like, absolutely the best people I've ever met. Genuinely would do anything for them. And they've been the most accepting coming out here because it is a very different world. Like, I remember at my high school, like, my principal, I just got my ears pierced, and he told me I wasn't going to be able to graduate if I had my ears pierced. And I was in line with my cap and gown on, and I just got them done the day before because I just got back from L.A. Almost tried to suspend me because I got my nails painted, like all that type of style of stuff, you know what I mean? And so coming out to L.A., got my ears pierced, started getting a lot of tattoos, started like dyeing my hair a bunch of different colors. My parents were just with me the whole time, dude. And they've just shown so much love. And that's the love I'm trying to show to everyone in the world. Because that's the love that, ultimately gets people where they need to be. Like, that's how people should act. And my parents are a great representation of that.
That's a beautiful sentiment and a very important sentiment, especially these days. I mean, forever and always, but it seems like people do need to hear that. I appreciate where you're coming from on that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You've also done some acoustic versions of this. Is that a different experience for you? Do you have to approach, a song differently when you're taking it in that direction?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because it's like, with Angels and Demons, it was such like a heavy chorus song. Bringing it down was kind of just different. But Travis is so good at just music in general that he's really good at just telling me, here, do this, do this, do this. This is what you need to change. And I mean, I grew up in like choir. Like, I did choir growing up. I was in Mary Poppins my junior year. I was Bert in Mary Poppins. I was Prince Charming and Cinderella. So I have kind of this like singing background. My dad majored in hymnals in college and music theory, and so I have that like singing background. So that's kind of cool to lean on sometimes. Like, I love guitar in general. That's kind of why I really stuck with rock music. So being able to do that acoustically, it shows just a different side of everything. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of emotion in acoustic music, which is really cool. So yeah, it's different for sure, but it also allows me to showcase my different talents. And that's what I really want to do for people as well, is kind of show that I'm not just screaming. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not just like going out here trying to hit the highest note or whatever. Like, I enjoy all of the processes that come along with it.
Well, it's been fun to listen to. Again, I'm so impressed with what you're doing. I mean, you're already, it feels like, hitting new levels with each track. So congratulations on this, Jaden. And thanks so much for taking the time to talk about it, too.
No, absolutely, dude. Thank you so much. Like, the real questions are the ones I love to answer, and you've definitely done that for me. So I appreciate that. And yes, we're very excited about So What. It's literally the craziest thing in the world, dude. Mooch killed it 100%. So
right on, man. Well, take care, and we'll see you around.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much. Have a great day, dude.
You too. Bye.
All right, bye.
My thanks to Jaden. Again, the latest single is called So What. He's got another handful out there as well. Do check those out. And thanks to you for checking out the episode. Again, before you get out of here, I hope you subscribe to the series so you can come back with all the brand new interviews, a new one every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at iTunes and Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, anywhere you get your podcasts from. You can hit subscribe. We'll bring them to you. After that, head to WFPK.org. That's where I do a show Monday through Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern. It's an hour full of song premieres, music news, anniversary spins, and bonus interviews. 6 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday at WFPK.org. Consequence of Sound has your music and film news. You can also find me on the social media spots at Kyle Meredith. That does it for another edition. I'm Kyle Meredith. I'll see you next time.
Consequence Podcast Network.
It's easy to hear your favorite artist on WFPK from wherever you are. Listen on your smart speaker, live stream from our website at WFPK.org, from Louisville Public Media.
Hey, I'm Jen, and I love horror movies.
I'm Mikey. I'm dead inside it. I also love horror movies.
And we really like to torture our friend Todd because he hates horror movies.
That I do. And that's why they call me the horror virgin.
That's the only reason we call him that.
That's
I'm not-
no
it's-
other reasons at all.
None at all.
blanket.
Whatever. So
Every week, we take him through the encyclopedia of horror, the good, the bad, the ridiculously Jack Frosts,
and then we make fun of it more or less.
or explain its deceptive feminism.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I do. That's my thing.
And I'm the funny one. Our episodes drop on Monday, so check us out.